Hello everyone and welcome to the KMTRADERS channel. We're looking at the Outlook review. So essentially this is comparing all the analysis that we made from last week's weekly analysis videos and ultimately showing you how you could have potentially taken our analysis and traded it. So starting off with GBP USD, we said that we wanted to look for price to get into either of these zones, but unfortunately we didn't get into that price range. We could be expecting to touch into these next week or the week after. But yeah, like I said, there was no real potential here. Moving on to Euro USD. So essentially the price action was starting off in this week up here, and we could have looked for a bullish sentiment up here, even though we had the wick rejections to the downside. The reason why we didn't take a buy trade after this particular wick rejection is because we need to see some bullish pressure first. Now we failed to find that if we look at the actual price action candle on the 4 hour, and hence this is why we didn't take the long here. And essentially this is how a lot of traders would have potentially went long here, but because we didn't see that candle, we didn't take that trade. Now likewise here, you could have taken this candle to the downside here, as we have found that bearish pressure, and we had the wick rejection here inside of this zone. So it depends if you wanted to be aggressive on this move. You could have taken this candle here and a good 34 pip stop loss and taken it towards the next zone. So about just over 1-to-1 ratio there. But it depends obviously how you would play it. But yeah, essentially you could have taken a short after that candle. We found that bearish pressure there. So about 30-40 pips for Euro there potentially. Now the USD JPY, the fundamentals took hold and took control of this pair. Obviously with the US and Iran war tensions, they're brewing. So essentially we could have I think we were able to be controlling this situation. We were waiting for some break points here. If you did take this bull run here, potentially after profit had, well, target would be zone to zone, but after that you would be expected to put a stop loss in place here, and your trade would be saved. Well, you wouldn't have risked that much here. You would have broke even here after that wick hunt which flashed to the downside, and then as I said, the fundamentals took place and took control during the night and pushed USD all the way up, so as the US dollar strengthened. And then we got into the top zone here after the NFP. Now we can see here that we have the morning star shooting to the downside, so this is a good indication that we could be shorting now. But due to this being after the NFP, we could be and the end of the week, I wouldn't be surprised if we could get back up and retest into this zone, but we'll obviously discuss that further in the weekly analysis video specifically for this pair. But yeah, so a potential short could have been placed here early on. So yeah, with gold, we had that push to the upside, so we had a very strong start to the week, about 300 pip push to the upside. Then we had that pullback, and then we had that fundamentals that took place and kicked us all the way up to our top zone, about 1610. And then we essentially descended back down due to the fundamentals stating that Trump was not going to go ahead with any of the war tensions that they've been suggesting, hence why this was pushed up really high. But yeah, like I said, the fundamentals controlled this, and then ultimately we've ended on the week with a bit of a bullish sentiment. So essentially we're still hovering around this area, and like I said, we will look into this area and how we can get into gold for next week, specifically on the weekly analysis video. And finally, with Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies. So with the cryptocurrencies, anytime there is government problems or the loss of confidence in the actual fiat currencies, these current cryptocurrencies start to kind of flourish and people start to invest it in some sort of quote safe investment, if some people like to call it like that. So yeah, so as we can see that we had that big bull run that we've had, we found some support here on our monthly level and almost a double bottom. So we could be potentially seeing some pressure to the upside now with Bitcoin and potentially with other cryptocurrencies. Ripple had the same effect, huge push to the upside. Unfortunately, not sustaining any further closes above. So this could potentially result to coming further low, finding a wick rejection here. So this scenario, and we'll obviously have to look further into that next week. What are the possibilities for cryptocurrencies? So yeah, so that'll be all for this outlook review. Obviously, the main purpose of this is just to kind of give you an overlook on how the week performed and what you should be looking at and what we say to look out for and what we kind of help you kind of realize what you need to do to trade with our strategy here. So I mean, if you do have any ideas of how um, uh, you need help, or if you're struggling to understand some key concepts, just message me on my Twitter, YouTube, I don't know, any social platform really that you follow, and I'll be happy to help. So yeah, so that'll be all from us. Thank you very much for listening, and we are posting the weekly videos today, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and yeah, for all the future analysis videos. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.